What if the one person closest to Michael Jackson wasn't completely comfortable with a movie about his life? Not a critic, not the media, but his own daughter.
The thing about these biopics is it's Hollywood. So it's fantasy land. It's not real. But it's sold to you as real. And a lot is sugar-coated.
When it comes to the upcoming movie Michael, Paris Jackson has something to say, and it's not exactly what people expected. So here's what's happening. Hollywood has worked on Michael, a massive biopic set to tell the story of the king of pop, his rise, his struggles, and everything in between. And guess who's playing him? His own nephew, Jaafar Jackson. Sounds like the perfect tribute, right? Well, not so fast. Paris Jackson has made it clear, in her own subtle way, that she doesn't want to be deeply involved in projects about her father's life. Not because she doesn't love him, but because to her, Michael Jackson wasn't just a global icon. He was dad. And turning that personal relationship into a public spectacle, that's where things get complicated. Paris has always been protective of her father's legacy, but also very protective of her own peace. She's spoken before about how overwhelming the spotlight can be, especially when your life is constantly tied to one of the most famous humans in history. So when it comes to the movie Michael, her stance is more like, I respect it, but I'm keeping my distance. And honestly, that makes sense. Because imagine this. The world sees a legend, but you remember bedtime stories, private jokes, moments no camera ever captured. How do you sit in a cinema and watch strangers recreate that? Still, Paris hasn't attacked the project. In fact, reports suggest the Jackson family, especially those closely involved, support the film. So this isn't drama, it's something deeper. It's about boundaries. At the end of the day, Michael will tell the world who Michael Jackson was. But Paris Jackson already knows something the rest of us never will. Who he was when the spotlight was off. And maybe that's one story no movie could ever fully capture.
Okay, I'm gonna say this and then I'll kind of just leave it alone. Because it seems like there's been a lot of responses. There's been a lot of responses to the thing that I posted earlier about just clarifying that I wasn't involved at all. Aside from giving feedback on the first draft and then getting the feedback that we're not actually going to address your notes at all. And I was like, all right, so I just butt it out, and I just I've left it alone because it's not my project. So they're gonna make whatever they're gonna make. A big reason why I haven't said anything up until this point is because I know a lot of you guys are gonna be happy with it. A big section. The film panders to a very specific section of my dad's fandom that still lives in the fantasy, and they're gonna be happy with it. Just I remember hearing about how Freddie Mercury's family responded to seeing the Bohemian Rhapsody film, right? And I remember reading the Dirt autobiography as a kid, and then growing up and watching the movie they ended up making starring MGK, and I was like, okay. The thing about these biopics is it's Hollywood. So it's fantasy land. It's not real. But it's sold to you as real. And a lot is sugar-coated. The narrative is being controlled. And there's a lot of inaccuracy, and there's a lot of just full-blown lies. And at the end of the day, that doesn't really fly with me. I don't really like dishonesty. I spoke up. I wasn't heard. Off. That's it.